Good evening, everybody. Could you just let me know, as always, can you see me and hear me? And is everything coming through as it should do? If you could do that for me, that would be awesome. So, thank you very much. Excellent. Thank you very much, Lack. Thank you, Stratos. Thanks you, Jamie. Thanks you. Yep. Thank you very much. Awesome stuff. Well, I hope you're all having a fantastic week so far and looking forward to the weekend. I know that I am. I've got my beer of choice tonight, and I'm hoping that most of you have something to drink, whether it's a hot drink, a cold drink, an alcoholic drink, or a non-alcoholic drink. Whatever it is, we're just going to have an hour of chatting, talking about a few bits and pieces, just basically enjoying an hour evening, having a little chat. So let me just say hello to a few people and wait for a few more to come in, and then we'll get started talking about some of the things I want to sort of cover in today's video. Okay, so who do we have in tonight? Okay, who do we have? Steve Pro, always good to see you. Charlie Bird, again, good to see you too. We've got Jamie Sheehan, Martin Cunningham, good evening. Harsh, Victor, Stratos, Lack, Jane, Pre, good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day, evening, whatever. So as usual, let's start off with where are you in the world so we can kind of get a feel for where everybody is. And we'll get started then. So I'm in Wales in a little room talking to a camera, and my neighbors are probably thinking I'm a little bit of a madman, but you know, it's par for the fun. So where are we from? Victor's from NYC. Well, hello, New York. USA, Virginia, Anthony, Massachusetts, Nigeria, Devon. Well, Charlie, we know you're down in Devon. And look, I do have a drink tonight again. Jane, the Bahamas, it's 1:01 p.m. The Bahamas, I bet it's warmer over there than it is here in Wales. Dunlin, John, the Bahamas, yep. Cork, living in Vancouver, España, Almeria. So we're all over the place then. Brackley, cider in hand, good man, Charlie. The Ivory Coast, India, Sri Lanka, 10:30 p.m. Time for a swift drink then, really. Lawrence, I can't even say that. Kitsicano, where's that? I have no idea. My geography's terrible. 4 p.m. Probably a little early for a drink, but as long as you're not in work or driving, could be a good opportunity. Costa del Sol, how is everybody finding it elsewhere in the world? I mean, in the UK, especially in Wales, we have been in localized lockdown now for the last 2 weeks, I think it is, in the county that I'm based anyway. And from tomorrow, we go into a national lockdown for 2 to 3 weeks. So things are a little bit weird again, to say the least. So how's everybody else coping? I mean, what is it like in your country? Are you finding you're going back into lockdown? You find the situation is getting better, worse? You know, let me know, because I think this is one of those things that it is kind of affecting so many of us that we've kind of got to change the way we do a lot of things. You know, living everyday life is completely different, but our work situations, commuting, just going and doing normal things has kind of changed dramatically over the last, well, since March in the UK, and longer if you're in other parts of the world. So it's kind of scary. Jamie, we're in level 2 lockdown. You're not as bad as level 5 lockdown for 6 weeks back home in Ireland. Yeah, Ireland, I think they've gone into a countrywide lockdown, or at least Northern Ireland, I believe, is going to a countrywide lockdown. It's kind of crazy. We're in lockdown due to police brutality. Felix, I can feel for you. Thankfully, we don't have to put up with things like that in this country, but I can imagine it's a frightening situation. Yesterday, my district was put on lockdown. Situation getting much better here. Jay, not glad to hear that. Even though I don't understand what you say in your videos, I'm very lucky to see all your movements. I have a good sense of what you do with WordPress, and I follow your tutorials. Well, Raul, where are you from? Because, you know, if there's a big enough audience in other countries that can't necessarily understand what I say, then I can always take a look at creating subtitles in other languages. I've done it on a couple of videos. I think I've done things like French, Spanish, German. I might have did Italian as well. So, I mean, if there's a need for this, then let me know where you're from, and I can take a look at maybe putting some extra subtitles on some of the other videos. I've been testing things out to sort of get a feeling for it. Okay, South Africa in lockdown level 1, people are generally good about wearing masks and respecting the rules. Jane Brainan, thank you very much. I'm glad you've learnt things from me. That's good to hear. It's always good to know. My wife used to think I was watching Nigel Owens making websites before she actually sees you. Okay, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I'll go with it. I don't mind at all. Okay, so tonight is pretty much a little bit freeform. The last 5 weeks, I can't believe this is week 6 already. The last 5 weeks, I've kind of had topics that I want to cover, and we've talked about different things. We've had a chat back and forth. Tonight, I've got a couple of topics I want to throw out there, but generally, we're going to sort of do a Q&A kind of thing, because I think I love getting your questions. I can't dedicate as much time tonight as I usually do, so it's not going to be a 2-hour-long session, unfortunately. So I'd like to take the questions earlier if I can. So I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about, or just to sort of bring to your attention and ask for your feedback on. A couple of things that I put out, a couple of things that I'm working on at the moment, and I'd just like to get your feedback, and then we can have a little bit of an AMA kind of ask me anything, within reason, obviously. Okay. I heard my name and to use Google Translate some time ago, right to your forms tutorial. Raoul, I shall take a little look and see if I can come across that, my friend. Pez, good evening to you. Okay, so let me just take a look at the first thing I want to talk about today. Let me just get my information up on screen in front of me, so I've got something you can take a look at and get an idea about what I'm actually talking about. I'm not as prepared as I normally am tonight, so you're going to have to bear with me just a little bit. I do apologize. Okay, let's wait for this to load. There we go. Right, let's go to presentation mode, and we can swap screens once it comes up on screen. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is the front-end admin for Elementor. You've probably seen in a number of my tutorials where I've used ACF Frontend Pro, and recently on a custom dashboard or custom front-end dashboard, I used the free version of the plugin. One of the comments that I had for Shabti, who hopefully will be joining us a little later in this live stream, was if I don't want to use any of the advanced custom fields options, I simply just want to create a nice simple front end way of posting, maybe even charging people for posting, which we'll come on to a little later. I have to install ACF just to be able to use that plugin. It's one of those things, is a requirement for it. So we had a little conversation back and forth probably a couple of months ago, and we've kind of talked about it again over the last few weeks or so, about creating or at least releasing a version that doesn't have a reliance upon ACF, Advanced Custom Fields, but still gives you the same functionality with the core WordPress side of things. So your pages, your posts, your users, and so on, options even. So he's released that plugin a couple of days ago. So I just wanted to bring your attention to the plugin so you could kind of know that it's out there and take a look at it for yourself and see if it's something that you think is going to be useful for you. So let me just go back out of this. And the plugin is the front-end admin for Elementor. Currently, it only has a couple of users. I'm going to be testing this out over the next couple of days, as well as the recently released update to the pro version of this plugin, the ACF plugin, that has the payment options. And we put a tutorial together on how to create a front-end setup where you'll be able to charge people. But this version, the free version, without the ACF requirements, I think is a real step forward. It gives you a ton of options without that, like I say, that reliance upon ACF. So I'm just going to throw the question out there. Is this something you could see yourself using because you don't always need to use advanced custom fields? Or have you actually taken a look at this yourself and maybe even tried it out? If you have, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think about that non-reliance upon ACF and just being able to give your clients, for example, or your users, or even yourself, a nice simple front-end dashboard, keeping users out of the admin side of things and still being able to allow them to upload content with all those same native features that we have in the ACF version, but without the reliance upon ACF. Do you think this is something that's quite useful? And would you be interested in seeing a tutorial on how to utilize this, how to get this built into a front-end dashboard, for example, or maybe even creating something really, really simple where you just want people to be able to submit content. They just have to be logged in. No real fanciness going on with it. Just a simple function that allows people to do that. Would you be interested in a tutorial on that and learning a little bit more about this plugin and how you can use it as part of your WordPress websites? As always, let me know in the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, or replay even, please, by all means, pop your answers, any comments, any questions, anything at all in the comment section below, because it's really useful. I do come back and check these live streams afterwards just to see if people are commenting and giving feedback on things we've talked about. So let me know in the chat right now. Okay, what else do we have in here? Okay, how do you design a website before we come to WordPress? I shall come on to that a little later. Okay, shortly after you did the ACF Forms Elementor tutorial, I was very in contact with Shabty as a developer since he's asked me to advise on functionalities of the plugin. Good to hear. Shabty's a very, very open developer, someone that I've spoken to probably about the last 8, maybe 10 months, maybe even a little longer, to be honest. And anybody that's sort of followed me on the channel and seen the live streams and things will know that I reference Shabty a lot in various different things, because as far as I'm concerned, he's the kind of developer that has the right mindset. You want someone that's going to listen to criticism, listen to feedback, listen to ideas, take those on board, and if they're possible, integrate them into their plugin, maybe even look at an alternative plugin like this non-ACF version, because they value the feedback they get from people like myself, people like yourself, the community. That's how you grow and develop a product that is what people want. Obviously, you can't take every idea on board. You've got to look at the viability and does it take it away from what the plugin is all about. But Shabty's been very open and he's been great to deal with. And it's been a pleasure to sort of speak to him over the last, like I say, probably the best part of a year with regards to this. But what are your thoughts? What do you have to say about these kinds of things? Hello, Nashville, Jax. Karl, I think using ACF in addition to the front-end forms is more preferred to myself, but I'm sure it'll be very helpful to those who find ACF a bit daunting. Yeah, there's that kind of thing, but I also think that there's times that I've sort of wanted to create something. There's times that I've sort of looked at thinking, I don't need ACF to do this kind of thing. I might have something really simple, and you may want people to sort of submit blog posts that doesn't require anything extra, and there are no ACF-based things, and you may want to just have that on a nice simple submission form that creates the post for you. Then I think the non-ACF version is a real option. And if he brings a pro version out using the same kind of technologies we have in ACF Front-End Forms Pro, where you can make payments through Stripe and PayPal currently, that could be pretty cool as well, because then you don't have a reliance upon ACF. You are literally just using the built-in functions of WordPress, tying in a nice simple payment option, restricting how many pieces of content they can upload and all those kinds of useful things. And you can have a nice, simple, streamlined system that you could potentially just sell space on your blog after it's been approved, knowing that the payment's gone straight into your account as soon as that person has made the payment. So I like this idea. I think the ACF Front-End Forms Pro is obviously much more powerful and has a lot more options and a lot more features that you could tap into. But I also like sometimes that you don't need you don't need all of those functions, and having extra plugins installed just to satisfy the requirements of that plugin, like ACF, can just be a little bit overkill for something that could be really, really simple. So I really like this new version he's brought out. I'm hoping that the Pro version will have everything that the ACF Pro version has, like the payments and all those kinds of things. Fingers crossed it will, so that's pretty cool. Thanks for your feedback, Karl. Now, speaking of Karl, I'd like everybody to say good evening to Karl, because, again, he's helping me moderate these comments, or this chat, gets involved, and has been an absolute lifesaver the last couple of live streams. So if everybody could say thank you very much, Karl, for being involved, and we missed you in the last live stream, so it's good to see you back on this one. Good man. Okay, so what else do we have? Let's have a little. Pez, definitely having different options for these types of things is always a benefit. I mean, that's my kind of thought process on it, is that it is nice to have multiple options to be able to create, as simple or as complex a kind of feature as you need. I mean, I'm a big fan. I love the sort of the front end dashboard side of things, keeping users and clients out of the admin dashboard. And speaking of which, there's been some nice new updates in ACF Frontend and Frontend Forms Pro to help that even more so, which I will take a look at in a little bit, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with that. But again, it's one of those things that Shabti is listening, he's taking on board, he's building the features that people like you and I actually need, not necessarily filling it with bloat that we don't need, bells and whistles and things. Okay, what else do we have? Thanks, Karl, for your hard work. Steve, thank you very much for thanking Karl. What was the name of the dev you were talking about? Jackson? That's Shabti. He's the developer behind ACF Frontend Forms Pro, ACF Frontend Forms, and several other plugins. I think it's Advanced Queries for Elementor, which is another free plugin, which is awesome. I use a lot of his plugins in various different tutorials, especially the sort of front-end dashboard tutorials, because it just works so seamlessly. It's just incredibly simple to get things working, and it's just quick and easy. And that's kind of like how I like plugins. I don't like ones that you've got to spend hours and hours just setting the basics up, because it just cuts into development time, cuts into the amount of money you can charge for a project, because it takes you a lot of time to set these things up. And if you have a rather complex dashboard that you created, it can be an absolute time suck to have to keep on setting all those different kinds of forms up and all the different relationships and things. So, I like simple plugins when they do what they should do and do it well. Okay, I'm going to jump back into the chat, and then we're going to move on to the next thing I want to cover. I just want to make you aware of that. And if anybody wants to link to this, I'll drop that into the description after the live stream is finished, so you can take a look at it. Yeah, cool. Okay, so what else do we have? Right, Raoul, I have no idea what you just said, but okay. Other than Europe, that's pretty much all I can understand, so I do apologize. Greg, good evening, sir. Good to see you here. In directory, various types of users, roles, companies, clients, farmers, unemployed, etc., interact with this. Can we build a specific dashboard for each user? You probably could. How complex it would be, or the easiest way of doing it, would take a little bit of testing to see the best way of working. But yeah, it's perfectly doable, as long as you kind of group things up into different, sort of user groups, user roles, whatever you want to kind of do. Probably user roles would be probably one of the easiest, because then you could base certain things upon a user role and then use that to filter and query and so on. But it's one of those things that, yes, it could be done. How complex or how time-consuming it would be, that would need some testing. And I think with anything like this, you have to test the features out. You have to prototype. You have to just get stuck in and just test your idea out and find solutions when you come across problems. That's kind of how I work when I create the sort of the deep dive videos. Is I'll have an idea in my head and I'll just see, can it be done? What tools do I need to do it? What are the limitations, and how can I find a workaround to get it to work? And touch wood, most of the time that's actually come out and worked fine. So don't ever be afraid to just set up a development environment, chuck the plugins you're thinking, and get your ideas down, scribble them out on a piece of paper, chuck them on an iPad, whatever you kind of want to do, however you work the best, and try it. Once you kind of understand the logic behind using tools like ACF and Toolset and Jet Engine and those kinds of things, it's then just thinking, how do I structure what I want to do, and which tool is going to give me everything I need, or which tool will give me the infrastructure that I can add more things onto to be able to build what I need. It's a lot of this is about just getting in there and trying to see how things work and just testing. That's the only way I can sort of say you have to get stuck in and do that. I hope that at least answers your question. Say, yes, it is viable. It's just having a look at how you'd actually go about doing it. Okay, web designer, welcome. Welcome to you. How do I design a website before I come to WordPress? So Lakshan, this is in answer to you, and I hope you're saying your name right. Generally, I've done it in a couple of different ways. I used to do it in Photoshop. I would create a mock-up in Photoshop so I could prototype things and get a feel for it, and then I would submit that to a client. Since moving over to Elementor, in all honesty, a lot of the time I actually go in and I just build based upon the design brief, based upon an understanding of what the client's looking for. Because one of the things that I get off a client is I ask them to send me through, say, half a dozen or 10 different websites either in their niche or outside of their niche, that they like and they dislike, and then just tell me what it is they like and dislike about any of those ones they send over. It gives me an idea, and I can kind of get into their head of what they're looking for. So then I would normally sort of put some ideas together, start playing about with some rough ideas inside Elementor, because it's just so quick. You know, you can just prototype a couple of pages within an hour. But recently I've been looking at tools like Adobe XD, Figma, those kinds of things, because there are benefits to using tools like that. So I am going to be showing in some further tutorials that are coming out over the next couple of weeks. So sort of bigger tutorials on how to build websites, and maybe some sort of behind the scenes, and, you know, where I built clients' websites, I'll take those apart, you know, case studies, that kind of thing, and demonstrate different ways of utilizing these tools to create the entire process of design brief to offload into a client. They'll be quite quick, as in they might be an hour and a half or something. They're not going to be, you know, every single aspect, because I think that's beyond the scope of a tutorial on. Okay, do we have? Yeah, I just realized it. Yes, I did just realize it. I don't know why. This is my microphone is set up to go through an audio interface and into my switcher. For some reason, this just decides to cut out for no apparent reason. So I'm not too sure if this is timing out because it's not recording or something. So I'm just going to hit record and just let that record on there, and hopefully that'll keep on going. So hopefully you didn't miss too much of that. What was the last thing you heard me talking about? Is it on USB, Jamie? The power's on USB, but it's not going into the switcher on USB, no. So what was the last thing you heard? That is exactly how I build, directly in Elementor, but I'm really interested for a more professional look at the client and using, let's say, XD. Sound is back good. Okay, so we've got Figma. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I think there are several different options. You know, Figma's good. Adobe XD has benefits. I think they all have strengths and weaknesses. You know, some are better than others. Some people like one over the other. Some people have an Adobe subscription, so, you know, you use XD, or you can use XD sort of for a couple of designs for free anyway. I think most of these give you a free sort of starting point. But, you know, there are options out there, and there are some things that they are really good at, especially if you use typical wireframing kinds of designs. You have so many cool options by doing it that way that, you know, there's reasons to test it out, because there are some things that are really, really cool in there. And like I say, I will show you some of those things, some of the little time savers, some of the little features that I think are really cool in some of these videos. So you can kind of get a feel for it. And as always, if I release content like this and you think, I really like what's going on there, I like the way that tool's being used, I'd like to learn more, always let me know in the comment section, because, you know, you dictate just as much as anything else what kind of content I create moving forward. Okay, so what do we have? Do any kind of demos of ACF that will be similar to setting up a food recipe website? Not at the moment, no. But maybe in the future. The difficult thing is I can't leave my demos up all the time, because I use SiteGround, and I just basically got a basic plan with them, because I sort of swapping things in and out all the time. I can have about, say, 5 or 6 sites up on there that I'm testing various different things out on, and I then just get rid of them. So once I've completed a big deep dive tutorial, I kind of wipe that site after a little while and start again. Otherwise, I just end up with like 30 or 40 sites on the go, just in the off chance that some people would look at it. So unfortunately, I don't do that side of things too much, because they're not even fully fledged sites. They are literally just a couple of pages, the key things that I need to demonstrate the tutorial, and that's it. So that you wouldn't see a full site there anyway, because that just takes too much time for aspects of the whole tutorial that I don't even cover. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, if you have clients, okay. So let's just go on to the next thing I want to cover. So just bear with me again. I just want to go over now to my next piece of content. And we're going to go over to ACF Frontend Pro, Forms Pro. Now, if you've used this plugin, you'll know that they've had Stripe and recently PayPal integration in beta for quite some time. Well, Shabdy's released the final version of this now. So this is live out of beta. So I just want to show you just briefly how easy it is to integrate the payment options into your front-end forms using this particular function. So it is really, really simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a demonstration page that I've kind of been playing about with just to show you how this all works, what's on there, and just how simple it actually is. So let me just turn over to my site. Now, bear with me because I've only been playing about with this for the last sort of half hour before I came on and started doing the live stream. So we are going to be taking a look at this, and there may be some weird things go on. I don't know. So what I've done is this is my dashboard, and anybody that's sort of seen these videos before, you'll know that this is how I create my front-end dashboards. Not my front-end dashboard, sorry, my admin dashboards for my clients. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over into my pages, and inside there, I've got a page called Add Paid Post, which I'm going to open up with Elementor. Now, this is just a typical page inside Elementor, and what I've got is I've got the Add Post widget, which is part of ACF Frontend Forms Pro. As you can see, there's all the information down the left-hand side, all the different fields, and these are just using non-ACF fields, but they can be linked up to ACF fields if you need to. So you have full functionality, full control of everything inside there. So if I scroll down, you can see we've got this area at the bottom, which is your credit card details. So what you can do is, let me just close this down a little bit. We go to Actions. I just disable that a second. You can see we have an option there called Collect Payment at Submission. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you can hopefully see a bit better. There we go. That should be a bit better. So we have this option called Collect Payment for Submission. So once you choose that, that will automatically enable the option at the bottom of your screen to deal with payments. It also opens up some extra options inside here. So we now have payment form. So we open that up. You can see we have control over the number. We've also got control over the name on card, expiration, CVC, and so on, and your buttons and everything like that. The payment processor is currently set up to be Stripe, but you can have PayPal and or Stripe on there. You can choose from an absolute multitude of different currencies to work with. And then you can see you've got your plan underneath, which is how much do you want to charge and how many post submissions do they get for that amount of money. So this isn't one of those things that's an incredibly complex, all feature-packed sort of extra for this. But what it does do is it gives you the basics to be able to charge for content to be placed onto your site, and also the number of submissions they can make. So you could easily sell 5 adverts, for example, and they fill out the relevant details, they make a payment, and then they can create 5 adverts after that. They'd have to make another payment, which is cool. You know, it's not as comprehensive as a tool like, I think it's WP Frontend Forms Pro, or WP User Frontend Forms Pro, which is one of the first ones I used. But then there's a big difference in the price, I believe. But it's quite cool to see you've got this inside there, and it's very, very easy to set up. You can also, like I say, once you've got the payment side of things, it's literally a case of clicking a couple of options. Once you've got that, you've then got all the options for emailing whenever there's content being added there. So you'll be notified. You can set this into, you know, whatever sort of status you want, draft, pending, and so on and so forth. So it's really cool to see all those options inside there. And setting everything up to do with your payment side of things is also super easy. And I also want to show you those things for locking down the dashboard as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back out of this. I'm going to go back into the ACF front end and into payments. Oh, that's all right, sorry. Into settings. Payments is going to show you where all your payments are. Jump over to the payments option. And inside there, you can see we've got Stripe and we've got PayPal. All you need to do is activate whichever or both that you want. Now, currently, I'm using the test keys. And as you can see, I've got a couple of test keys on there. You can sign up for a Stripe account. And if you go over to PayPal, you enable that, you have pretty much the same kind of thing. You can put this into sandbox mode, put your client ID and so on inside there. And then once you've tested everything, you can then go live. So it's really, really easy to set things up inside there. But like I said, it gives you the opportunity to create a really simple, really streamlined way of allowing people to submit content to your site, charge them for it. So if you have a business listing site or an advert listing site or a blog that you want people to be able to submit content to, probably a million different options. This just gives you a really simple way of working. So I will be creating a more dedicated tutorial on the payment side of things and setting all that up to work as well. So again, if you think this is something you'd be interested in, let me know in the chat section. And before I sort of close out of this, I want to just quickly go back and I want to show you a couple of other things. So we've seen the payment side of things. We're going to come back up to the top, and these are quite cool things. Now, you'll know that if you use WordPress and you have the avatars enabled, it basically links up to your Gravatar account. If you don't have a Gravatar account, WordPress will just basically just give you a really default kind of thing in your comments and so on, or it'll just give you a semi-blank one, when you're creating these custom front-end dashboards and so on. But with this plugin, you can change that. You can say that you want to have a local Gravatar if you want to, which is quite cool. You've also got options then for the WP dashboard. So you can hide the dashboard, and you can hide it in various different ways. You can hide it on a user level, and you can hide it on a role level. So you can just select whichever one you want, and then you can keep users out of the dashboard, the WordPress dashboard completely. So if you're creating a custom front-end dashboard and you want everybody bar the admins to get straight into that and nothing else, this now means you don't have to rely upon another plugin to be able to keep people out of areas you don't want them to go into. You can redirect them, so you can set this up to redirect to your user dashboard, and then you can filter the data based upon the logged in user, like you've seen in my other tutorials. So it's cool to see that we've got these extra new features in there with the avatar, with payments. So I think this is really shaping up to be an absolutely awesome plugin. But have you used it? Have you watched the tutorials I've created on creating these front-end dashboards? And do these extra new features, are they the kind of thing you'd start to use? Can you see a use case for things that you do? Or do you just kind of have no use for them right now? Let me know, because I think it's awesome. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the chat comments and see if I can catch up with what's going on there. Okay. Yep, Karl, it is a very nice feature. Pez, I like this dashboard a lot. I'm assuming you're talking about my custom dashboard for my my WordPress account for my clients and so on. If so, thank you very much. It is one of those things that I think it just looks so much better than the default WordPress dashboard, which is pretty dated and not the nicest looking thing in the world. Okay. Can we see what it looks like from a user perspective and what it looks like exactly after you've reached your limit? No one ever really shows that. Anthony T, let me create the tutorial, and I will show that at the end of it as well, so you can see what it looks like from both points of view. And if I need to, I'll speak to Shabti if there's anything that I think could be sort of maybe tweaked on there, or whatever, if it needs to have any kind of conversation with Shabti regards to that. But yes, I will take a look at adding that in and including that as part of the video tutorial that I do on that specific feature. So rest assured that will be in there. Okay, hello from Poland. Hello, Denzu. And hello, Poland. Okay, what are the benefits of the plugin over just adding a function to do the same? Jamie, I'm not too sure what you're talking about, because I might have missed part of the other thing. So if you could clarify what you mean on there, I'll try my best to answer that question for you. Okay, hello from India. How's your day going? My day's going absolutely amazing. I hope yours is going just as well. Thank you very much. Okay, can I manipulate posts made with Jet Engine with this plugin? Lillian, no, I don't think you can. I don't quote me 100% on it, but I don't think there's an integration with Jet Engine content yet. I know I spoke to Shabti a little while ago about it, but I don't think that he had the opportunity to integrate that into the plugin itself. So I don't know for definite, but I'm fairly certain that you can't at this point, which is a shame, because I think it would be quite useful to have that link through to Jet Engine, So maybe something in the future, if enough people were interested in doing that, it may be something you'd look at adding in the future. Okay. What's that one about the redirection to your dashboard? Oh, sorry. Jamie, I'm assuming you're talking about, let me just quickly jump back over. We're talking about this particular section here, the redirect users after, when logging in. It's just basically a way of just saying that you want to redirect, instead of going to the normal redirection when someone logs in, which would probably be the dashboard of WordPress, the normal dashboard, that it would push you over to your custom dashboard, the custom front end dashboard, or wherever you kind of wanted to go. It could be a user account, could be anything you wanted, really. It just means that it pushes you there instead of letting you go into the normal dashboard of WordPress. So I hope that answers the question anyway. Okay, let's have a little look. Would love you to do some tutorials on WordPress, or like to create a site like that. Do people actually use WordPress that much these days? Knowing that sort of forums, as they used to be, are not really as lively as they were. I mean, there's definitely situations where they are better than things like Facebook groups. And a lot of people prefer that sort of constant information being easy to find. I don't know if people actually use tools like WordPress as much as they maybe did 5 or 6 years ago, before before Facebook became so much more prevalent. I don't know. Let me know. Tell me. More people know. How complex can take the front-end form submissions with Elementor? Does it support custom post types? Front-end forms does support custom post types. It supports ACF. So you can get quite complex with it if you want to. If you take a look at some of my earlier tutorials, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the car sales one was using ACF Front-End Forms Pro. And that should show you, minus the payment side of things, but that should show you how you can use it with custom post types, custom meta fields, whether you want to use it with a complete custom post type, or you want to use it with a WordPress post with advanced custom fields. There's tons of options inside there. It is a very powerful plugin. And like I say, Shabdy's open. I know a lot of people have come across different situations where they wanted something to work in a certain way, or a feature that wasn't necessarily in there. And Shabdy's been very open to adding those features into the plugin. And that's kind of why it's expanded so rapidly, because he's taken on board really good features and implemented those in a really good fashion. And to sort of go back to the features, there's been certain times where, if you looked at the plugin maybe 6 months ago, the features were there, but the way they worked weren't always the most smooth, most streamlined. Silly little things like you might not want to have the normal WordPress post fields in a specific order. You may want to reorder those for a purpose. That wasn't in there to start off with, so we had a conversation about it, and within a couple of days, they got integrated that into it. So now all those fields are drag and droppable, so you can reorder things as you want. So you have more creativity. So even if it doesn't do something you want, reach out to Shabty. On the Facebook group, wptuts.co.uk/Facebook. If you're not part of the WP crew, sign up on there. Shabty, tag him in. He's a member of that group. He's great. He'll answer whatever questions or comments or feedback you've got on this. So if you want to know something, you want a feature that you're not happy with, whatever it is, get in touch with Shabty. He's very, very open to, listening to people's ideas and taking on board the good ones. Okay. What about nested repeating fields? I'm not too sure about that one. I'm pretty sure it doesn't support nested repeat fields, but don't quote me on it. But again, whether that's from a technical point of view, whether it's from something else, reach out to Shabty and have a chat to him. He's a very, very nice man, open to having conversations, and is passionate about the plugin and what it can do and what he wants it to do. Anyway, what Black Friday WordPress offers are you waiting for? Black. Can't say I'm really waiting for anything much, to be honest. I don't really have much that I need when it comes to plugins and things like that. Themes I don't really use these days. I'm very much build my own kind of thing. So there's nothing particular that I'm looking forward to. I mean, anything that you are looking forward to on Black Friday, let me know. I do have some things that are being sent out to me to let me know there's Black Friday deals coming up, which I will post up onto the Facebook group, so you can grab those offers there. Might see if I can get hold of some exclusive offers as well from some of the partners that I have, to see if we can get some nice deals for you specifically as part of the WP crew. Don't hold me to that, but I will do my very best. Okay, let me just do one more thing. Let me just quickly go over to the next thing that I want to just quickly talk about. And then you can give me some feedback, because I want to ask you some questions now. Well, one question in particular. My next deep dive, you know that the deep dives are the more comprehensive tutorials that I create. What would you like to see? Now, this has got to be within reason. You know, it has to be something that is viable, and that is something that we could take the tools that we have for WordPress and be able to create them. It has to be based around WordPress. So what kinds of things would you like to see covered? It doesn't have to be an overall, I'd like to see a website, or I'd like to see this entire feature. It might be something small. It might be, how do I do this particular thing inside a bigger project? Let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the replay of this, let me know in the comment section, because I'm always open to ideas. I don't always come up with ideas for everything. And it's when you comment, it's when you come back with ideas and feedback that opens my eyes to some of the things that I can do. And then I'll go away and I'll take a look at find ways to do them. So let me know in the chat or in the comment section on a replay what you'd like to see in one of my next deep dives. So let me know. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a drink, and then we're going to have a little chat, and then we're going to take a look at the last thing. Okay, and Shabdi's in the house. Good evening, Shabdi, and thank you for the comment. It's not a problem at all. It's well deserved. Okay, let's have a little look then. What comments do we have? Do you know if any Crocker-Block stuff is being sold? I'm assuming you mean on offer at Black Friday. I don't know at the moment. They don't sort of confide in me, unfortunately, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, obviously, is probably the two biggest times of year. Most software developers, most plugin, most theme developers can really rake in a big chunk of cash. So while I don't know for definite, I would say it's a pretty safe bet that we're going to see some kind of offer. You know, hopefully it'll be a lifetime deal offer, but it might only be on the annual subscription kind of things, because obviously they make more money recurring on those side of things. But keep an eye out. Like I say, I will put things together and put them onto the Facebook group. And if anybody else sees some good deals, by all means, drop those into the Facebook group. Just no affiliate links if you post anything up on there. So by all means, let everybody know. Let's share the love. Let's share the discounts. Okay. Stephen O, how many plugins do you feel is too many on shared hostings? It seems mine fills up fast. Stephen, I think it all depends on the type of plugins you're talking about. If you're talking about small, insignificant plugins that don't do much at all, you can probably get away with quite a few. Obviously, take the size restrictions out of it. The more plugins you have, the more opportunity for conflicts, especially when updates come out. You only need to look back at what happened with Elementor when 3.0 came out. I'm sure parts of that were to do with, you know, other plugins that didn't have compatibility at the time of release and so on, and a million other things. And maybe even a case of, you know, WordPress 5.5 and Elementor 3.0 coming out at the same time was just a bit of a head-on car crash kind of thing. So I don't think there's too many. I think it's just a case of being realistic about what you're doing and not looking for a plugin for every single thing you want to do. Sometimes you can do something without the need for a plugin, just by using functions, PHP files, by doing lots of different things. I've covered various different types of working like that on the channel before. So take a look at some of those, because you can get away without a plugin to do lots of different things. Okay. Shabti and ET, nested repeater regions are supported. That's awesome to hear. I need to get stuck in and try some nested repeater regions now and see how it all works. Okay. So okay, we've got Sean. I'd like to make a recipe website, use ACF to help with making custom designs in Elementor. Not too sure what you mean by custom designs. I mean, if you're talking about, you know, just creating custom website like I did with the food lovers tutorial that I did probably about a year ago now, then yeah, ACF and a couple of other tools, you could create that without any real problem whatsoever. Well, I used things like, I think it was Anyway, Elementor, I think was one of the key tools I used in there, and things like Facet WP, Search WP. There are alternatives out there that cost a lot less. Like, for example, the Search and the Facet ones, you could replace that with something like Search and Filter Pro, which is about $20 for a single site. So not particularly expensive, and opens up, you know, as many features pretty much as you've got with Facet WP and Search WP. Anywhere Elementor Pro. There are some other plugins I can't think on the top of my head. I think Dynamic Content for Elementor does pretty much everything I used Anywhere Elementor Pro for. So there are lots of options to be able to create something like that without any real problem. So yes, you could do it. You just need to look at some plugins to create some of the other solutions that you'd need for various different things. And speaking of search, there's a video that I did on free ACF plugins probably about 3 weeks ago now, which I think was called ACF Search. Totally free, and it just means that the normal WordPress search will search inside the ACF custom fields. So if you wanted just even a simple search, that might be a good idea, because it means you can search those recipes, the content that's outside the normal WordPress fields, and integrate it into the ACF side of things. So check that out. I think it was called ACF Search, or Better ACF Search. I think that's what it's called. Have a little look. Karl, thank you very much for the super chat. 15 minutes remaining, Q&A session. He's on the ball tonight, I tell you. He is on the ball tonight. Okay, so I got one more thing I want to quickly cover, and then we'll do 10, 15 minutes of Q&A, or until Karl kicks us all out, because he's a strict young man. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so let's just flick this over to what I want to show you. And let's just go over to this screen. Okay, Admin 2020. I released a video on that yesterday, and I gave you my thoughts on it. I've had some people's feedback coming through in the comment section on there. What are your thoughts on it? Is this something you would use yourself? Is it something that you've used in the past, you do use? Is it something you've taken a look at and you kind of said, no, not for me? What's your thoughts behind it? Because I thought, on the whole, it's a nice refresh to what you can see as part of, WordPress dashboard, which has been around for a very, very long time. But then there were certain things that I wasn't so fussed in. But there is a big update, apparently. The developer popped into the comment section on the YouTube video yesterday and said there's a big update coming out very soon. And also taken on board the comments and the criticisms that I made in the video. Some of the comments that were left outside of that said that he's very open to comments, feedback, suggestions, and so on. So I'm interested to find out, what are your thoughts on that? Have you ever used it? And would you use it? Do you like that kind of thing? Or would you prefer to just create something your own, like I've done in some of the tutorials where I've shown you how to create your own custom dashboard? Which preference would you have? Which way would you go about it? Admin 2020 for the ease, or create your own for the flexibility? Let me know in the chat. Okay. Let me just go back. I'm going to answer another question a second, because I think I just pretty much answered it anyway. But this is for Natalie. I hope that's the right way of saying it, because I have no chance of saying your surname. That is, are there alternatives to Facet WP, maybe faster and accessible? There are options available instead of Facet WP. As I just said, you've got Search and Filter Pro, which has searching and filtering built into it. As far as accessibility, I don't really know. I've only used it in maybe 2 tutorials, so I haven't really got stuck into it with any real, sort of intention, should we say. But that offers pretty much everything that Facet WP and Search WP offers. So that's something I would suggest taking a look at. On the flip side, there's obviously Jet Engine. Excuse me. Jet Engine will work with ACF. It'll work with your normal WordPress fields, works with WooCommerce, works all those things. So maybe Jet Engine is something you could take a look at. And Jet Filter, and Jet Smart Filters, and Jet Search, because they will work in conjunction with each other. And I think you can buy those separately. I think it probably works out about $30, maybe $40 at a push if you can buy those separately per year, which for the features you get in it is actually pretty good. And obviously then you get all the flexibility of being able to edit the styling and so on with Elementor. So you get the advanced options for creating a more stylized look without having to necessarily get in and start playing about with any kind of code, CSS or anything like that. So check that out. Maybe that could be an option, a viable option for you. Steve Pro, thank you very much for your super chat. Thanks for the tech support. Need to catch up on a few. Yes, you do. You're laying the side down. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm releasing them. You could at least look at them. Have a beer and watch my videos. What else is there in the world to be doing right now? Lots of things, I'd assume, but you get the idea. Anyway, what else do we have? One Solution HQ. Admin 2020 is good, just needs to be polished. That's pretty much what I kind of said in the video yesterday, was that on the whole, it's very, very good. It has some really nice features in there. It does what you need it to do. But there are some little things that are lacking. I don't really like the media library. I don't like the way that works when you use their native option. There were a couple of little spacing issues, which were sort of, they're sort of 5-minute sort of solutions for the developer, just to add a bit of space, bit of padding in a CSS file, whatever, quick tweak. So I think it's got potential. It's whether it's kind of an all or nothing. Yes, you can turn off various different features, and you've got a couple of different styling options, but it is a case of you either use Admin 2020, or you use the WordPress dashboard, or you create something of your own. Some more flexibility in there, maybe design-wise, could be quite cool, without the need to get stuck in and start doing CSS and JavaScript editing and things. So I think it's a great starting point. I think it's got real potential. The developer seems really open to suggestions and feedback, which, like you say, I've said all the way through this, that to me is worth more than the investment sometimes. And the $20 it cost to test it out, I spent that yesterday or the day before just to give it a try, to see what I thought of it. It's worth it to try it out and see if it works for you or not. But I'll be keeping an eye on it, and hopefully it will mature. These little things will be taken on board, and a little bit of polish will be added to it to make it something is a true replacement for the normal WordPress dashboard. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's definitely got potential. Okay, what do we have? First of all, let me just say, Shabti, thank you very much for hopping in after your tea, and thank you very much for answering questions, comments, and so on. I know I appreciate it a lot, and I'm sure anybody that's in the chat right now is also appreciative of the time you take to get involved in WPTuts, in WP Crew, and also in the community that we have here. So thank you very much for being involved. It is much, much appreciated and does not go unnoticed. Okay, what do we have? Sinriser, hello everyone, I'm new here. Well, good evening, good afternoon, or good day, and welcome aboard. Hope you enjoy your time here, which there isn't much time left, unfortunately. So hopefully it'll give you a taste and you'll jump into the next one in 2 weeks' time. Okay, what else do we have? Evan, honestly, you need to get those reminders sorted out. Not getting the reminders, that's like the dog at my homework excuse. Come on now, come on. You can do better than that. We want a better excuse than that. Okay, so what do we have? How can we make a currency switcher with ACF and link this to the total amount? Ooh, that's a difficult one. I don't know if I would want to use a currency switcher as part of ACF. I can't say I've ever tried that out, so it's not something I could honestly answer. But as I say every single week, or every single other week, I should say, if you've got questions, there's only so much I can answer. There's only so much that I know that I can answer and help people out. If you want to get into a great community where you've got like-minded people that are open to helping and answering and just getting involved, go over to wptuts.co.uk/Facebook, join up to the Facebook group, post your questions, get involved in the community, because there are some amazing people there that are more than happy to help out, share experience. There's quite a lot of them are in the chat tonight, and they are here every 2 weeks. So you'll see a lot of the same names, a lot of the same faces over there, and there are so many really super helpful people. So get involved in the WP Crew Facebook group. Like I say, wptuts.co.uk/Facebook, and just get involved. Okay, that being said, what else do we have? Okay, hello from Belgium. Thanks for the welcome. Hello, Belgium. Right. Will I think Crocoblock will ever release a migration tool for the CPT to CCT? I got to be honest, I'm hoping so, because I think the CCTs, I think people are getting a little bit sort of confused with what CCTs are and the limitations that they have. It would be lovely that they could completely replace, custom post types and all the sort of custom meta fields and so on. I don't think it will. Not right now. It might do in the future. I just don't think it's built for that. It's more built for simpler, non-relational or non-related, where they don't need taxonomies to link data together between various different groups and so on. Or at least not in the way that you're probably used to when you're working with custom post types, taxonomies, and those kinds of things. So I think for right now, we need to stop looking at them and thinking that's not a custom post type, so therefore it's not of any use. It's a different thing altogether. It just happens to use the same kind of terminology as meta fields and those kinds of things, and works in a similar fashion. The beauty of it is the fact that if you have lots and lots of records, you have much more streamlined databases without 10 times the amount of data that's being pushed in there that you would with a normal WordPress sort of custom post type and meta fields and so on. So consider it to be something right now that's for simple listings that don't require a ton of grouping together, not complex things like that. And then you'll kind of get a better understanding of what it's for. And you'll find use cases for where it could be perfect. You could want to do something as simple as just a listing site. You might have job listings that fall into predefined categories, because you can still use select fields and then you can filter against those select fields. So they work in a similar fashion to a custom post type. You just have to think a little differently with it. They're just not as powerful right now. But for the right use case, they could be a game changer, especially when you want to search, filter, sort, all those kinds of things. So I would say right now and for the foreseeable future, no, they're not going to replace custom post types. They are going to be a different beast. In the future, who knows? It all kind of comes down to if Crocoblock have or will or already have found a way of being able to create that kind of link between their database tables that are custom created independently of custom post types and the normal database that's part of WordPress. So we have to wait and see. I'm hoping so. Jet Engine 2.6 is due out, I believe, in around about a month, because I should be doing a deep dive tutorial using Jet Engine 2.6. I have no idea what's included in it. So we're all in the same boat. I don't know any different to what anybody else does. But they want me to wait until 2.6 comes out to put a tutorial. So I'm kind of thinking and hoping and touching wood and speculating that maybe there are some sort of big changes coming to custom content types in 2.6 that are worthy of a bigger tutorial. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Okay, next question. What we have? Bring back edit with Elementor. Okay, I have no idea what that means. Can you build a CRM in WordPress where the client does have to go into the front end? To be honest, you could probably build it. Yes, you've got the tools there. If you've got, if you want to use things like ACF or Toolkit, Toolset, whichever one it is, Jet Engine, any of those kinds of tools, yes, you could build those kinds of things because it's all just relationships and data. So yes, you can do it. But I'm a great believer that WordPress isn't the best platform for these kinds of things. Like if you look on AppSumo, for example, which I take a look at every day, there are CRMs that work inside WordPress. I just don't see why you would want your CRM inside WordPress, because you could create a CRM, a developer then can create a CRM that's a standalone product. Why do you need to piggyback that onto WordPress, which it was never intended to do? You're always going to have those limitations of how WordPress works, how WordPress builds its database, and how you can end up with crazy amounts of data for even simple sort of, how can I say, simple projects, simple sort of purposes. So I would say, yes, you could build a CRM if you wanted to, but I would never look at building the CRM inside something like WordPress. Personally, that's my takeaway on it. I don't know how other people feel, but for me, keep WordPress for what it's good for. Anthony T, I completely agree. I don't know what you're agreeing with, but thank you very much for agreeing with me. I'm going to open another beer now, so excuse me. Okay, so as we can see, Karl is being very, very strict in tonight's Q&A. Now, whether we listen to Karl is a different thing altogether. But we will, because he's a very, very, very organized person. Anyway, what else do we have? There are tons of other solutions that will work outside of WordPress you can use. Exactly. I think that's pretty much exactly what I'm talking about. Leon Coppola, Punk IPA, my favorite too. Yeah, I don't mind a bit of Punk IPA. It's not bad at all. It does go down quite easily on a live stream. Okay, let's have a little look at some other things. Have you used Crocoblock DevTools plugin? Do you think you'll use it in a future tutorial? No, I haven't. Will G, you're going to have to give me some more information on that. What do you mean by the DevTools plugin? To be honest, I haven't even looked at it. Now I'm intrigued and I want to go and take a look to see what it's all about, to see if it's something I've missed out. So, Crocoblog DevTools. Let's have a little look. DevTools. There's usually so many times in the day, so many hours in the day, and I just don't seem to have enough time to take a look at all these different things. Ooh. This is new. No, I haven't taken a look into it, but now that's bookmarked, and I will be taking a look at it. Okay. Andrew Downey, no Brewdog sponsorship, Paul? Not yet, anyway. No, sadly not. I don't think they see in my live streams. But if anybody wants to push them in my direction and they want to sponsor a live stream, I've got no problem with that. So if Brewdog do see any of these live streams, thank you very much. And please get in touch. Along with BMW, please. That would be quite nice too. Anyway, okay. Let's take one or two more questions, and then we will be calling it a shorter night than usual tonight. But thank you, Will G, for that information about the Crocoblog DevTools. It does ring a bell way back in the head, but I don't think I've ever taken too much of a notice of it because, like I say, I just don't seem to have enough time in the day to do everything that I want and test all the plugins and the tools and the themes and all those kinds of things. We need 36-hour days, I think. What are the best plugins for classified ad marketing for that? I don't really do anything with those kinds of things. It's not really part of what I do as part of the channel or the content that I put together. So I'm not the best person to answer that question. But like I say, I'm going to throw that out there to the Facebook group. Head over there, drop some comments in, ask people, because I'm sure there's going to be an abundance of people that have already utilized tools like that, and they can give you a better idea than I probably can. So get involved in that. I do apologize if you can hear barking. That's my little dog probably outside walking past, so I do apologize. Okay. Anthony T, have you decided on what you might consider for creating your next deep dive video? Not yet. Has anybody actually come back with any answers on that? If you have, I have missed them, and I will take a look at them later on. But as with everything, you know, whether you see it in here or whether you see it on the Facebook group or whether you see this on the replay, if you've got ideas for what you'd like to see in a deep dive, knowing what I create on the channel, because I say there's no point in sort of saying create something that's completely out of your wheelhouse that you don't cover on the channel because we're interested in that. At this point in time, the channel has a focus, and that is kind of where the strength of this channel is, as opposed to some of the other things. But never be afraid to sort of drop it in there. Just chuck those ideas out there. Let me know. And if I can come across with something, and I think it's inside the wheelhouse of what we create on the channel, I'll take a look at creating some content on it. Okay. The DevTools is really worth checking out. I will be checking that out a little later. Hi, Richard Wade. I think you're a little late. Unfortunately, we're going to be wrapping up now. So if you just dropped in, I do apologize that we're going to be wrapping up a little earlier than usual because, well, we tend to run these hour-long sessions for way too long. So I'm going to take one more question, and then I'm going to wrap up tonight. So what do we have? Make a peer-to-peer donation like recreated a Kickstarter like without using WooCommerce. Drop that into the Facebook group. Anthony, are you part of the Facebook group? Let me know in the chat, because if you're not, and you've got the time to do it, and you don't mind being part of Facebook, hop over and get involved. Drop that inside there. Start a thread, whatever you kind of want to do. Get involved, because that's the best place to get these ideas out there. The chat is great, but I take more time, or I have more time to take a look at the Facebook group than I do with the chats, because they're a pain to look at afterwards, because I've got to actually watch the video to see all the comments. So, Jamie Sheehan, didn't know you had a Facebook group until earlier. That's my bad. I should put more information out there to let you know. Maybe I need to put more things onto the videos to let you know about it. Please do get involved, get over there and become part of it. Okay, you did join Anthony T, but wait in. If you join just now, I'll confirm you once this live stream has ended, so don't worry, you will be confirmed and join in. Okay, I'm going to call it a day here. I want to say thank you very much, as always, for taking the time out of your day, your evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are, for joining in, getting involved, getting your comments out there, asking questions, and just taking the time to become part of the WP crew in our live streams. In 2 weeks' time, which I'm sure Karl will tell me what the date is for that, because Karl's on the ball and I never am, we'll have the next live stream. So it's in 2 weeks today. Clocks will change in the UK, so it'll go over to, I think, an hour later, maybe. But we'll keep that anyway. So I think we go to GMT. So just bear that in mind. If you are outside of the UK, our clocks do change by the time you'll see this next live stream in November. But thank you very much for being involved in Lockdown Live. As always, stay safe, become part of the WP crew, get involved on the Facebook group, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much to everybody, including Karl and Shabti, for being involved. Thank you very much. Take care.